Oh, it's here. It's here. Master distillers Jimmy and Eddie Russell have a combined 107 years of experience at Wild Turkey, with the father and son duo learning and perfecting the art of making Wild Turkey whiskey. Out of all that experience comes this, the latest and sixth release in the Wild Turkey Masters Keep series, a unique whiskey that reflects the distinct philosophies of the two Russell distillers. In fact, it's a toasted bourbon. That's right, it's a toasted turkey. Look at it. It's called One. Let's check it out right here on the Mash and Drum. What's up, folks? I'm Jason C. from the Mash and Drum, and today we're reviewing the latest Wild Turkey Masters Keep called One. Together, through the years, Jimmy and Eddie's back and forth and conversations has led to innovation at Wild Turkey. This has allowed Eddie to track trends in American whiskey while experimenting with age statements, aging techniques, and barrel placement. This has led to rye whiskey releases utilizing many different warehouses and some really nice age statements for special releases. Eddie Russell's actually celebrating his 40th year at the distillery this year. He said in a press release that Wild Turkey's heritage was built on family values, a love for whiskey making, and an endless search for bold flavors. Congrats, Eddie. Now, I've talked about this release, and so has the whiskey and bourbon world, for months since it was announced. Now, between then and now, it's been kind of a mixed bag of reactions. One is a toasted bourbon. Now, a technique and trend in whiskey these days that some folks seem to love and some folks seem to hate. Some people like it in rye, some people like it in bourbon, some people don't like it at all, some people love everything. Some feel it's a worn out gimmick and it needs to, maybe stop or come to a halt a little bit. But it's also a technique that nobody thought Wild Turkey would tackle. Eddie Russell said, Masters Keep One honors the tools, techniques, and tradition that my father handed down and is a culmination of our shared love of bourbon. Jimmy instilled in me the most rewarding lessons for success in work and life, passion and discipline, and I'll always be grateful to him for setting me on this path 40 years ago. So, what's in the bottle? So given this bottle is a tribute to the 40 years Jimmy and Eddie have worked together, each of their philosophies is highlighted. Masters Keep combines Jimmy's love of mid-age bourbons, 8 to 10 years old, with Eddie's passion for complex characteristics that come with bourbons aged longer. Both whiskeys then come together for a second maturation using new oak barrels specially toasted and charred in one of Eddie's favorite rickhouses, Tyrone G, which actually became one of my favorite warehouses that some of those Russell's picks were released from this year. Alright, so the official stats. Wild Turkey Masters Keep One is bottled at 101 proof, has that toasted oak finish. It's non-age stated, but if you read inside the box, it said that they chose bourbons 9 to 14 years old. So again, you took some of that bourbon that Jimmy loves, that's 9 to 10 years old, and then Eddie capped it off with some 14-year-old bourbon as well. It's available now in limited quantities and priced at about 175 bucks. Alright, so I did kind of a cool experiment. Since toasted bourbons tend to change up a little bit, I felt like just doing a fresh pop on this and reviewing it wouldn't give it a fair shake. So what I did was I took another glass here and I poured a bunch of the Wild Turkey One in this and I left it overnight for a couple days just to see what would happen. So we'll compare to this in a little bit. But let's go into a little bit of a fresher pour. I poured this about a half hour ago before I started the video. So let's try it. This comes through, like you could smell the char. You could smell the toasted oak char, I think. So it's more like a burnt toast. There's that nice like little hint of like cherry or grape pop that you get with a Wild Turkey, especially if you go back to the Russell's 13. There was a good amount of like grape and cherry in there, and I think that's still coming through here. Man, butterscotch. Butterscotch is probably my favorite note that I'm getting on the nose. You guys know that's my favorite note to find in a bourbon. Some nice butterscotch, some Werther's Original Candy, little toffee. Still get the like a nice little citrus punch from a good turkey. I'm surprised this isn't a typical toasted bourbon effect. Normally, what do you think toasted? You think you're going to get graham cracker, I'm going to get marshmallow, you know, some of those flavors. And while there might be some of that, the nose is staying distinctly kind of turkey. It's very turkey reminiscent. It's nothing overpowering. I think there's an extra layer of barrel char and smoke that you're getting in the toasted bourbon, which I think obviously is indicative of that toasting process. But for anyone worried that it's going to lose the turkey, you know, backbone, it's still there. Yeah, I mean, I do think the gingerbread's a little bit there. Not so much marshmallow. It's a lot fruitier and a little bit more buttery than I thought it was going to be, for sure. So I'm excited. Let's give it a try. Here we go. Cheers. It's interesting. The palate for me is distinctly turkey. It's really good. It's man, the palate for me is just it's very turkey. Get more of the cherry, the grape. That butterscotch is just kind of overlaying the whole experience, which makes me kind of loving this one right now. But hold on. Okay, second sip. Caramel, butterscotch, little cherry, little grape there. Trying to make that distinction, but they're both there, I think. Maybe a little bit more cherry than grape. Yeah, and definite butterscotch on the palate, which is friggin' delicious. I love that part of it. But I will say the front of the palate, you do get some of the spice. You get a lot of those turkey notes. You get, you know, a lot of vanilla cream, caramel. Butterscotch hits mid-palate. Get a nice little black pepper. Some orange as well. But then, man, it hits the back of the palate. It's got a really nice finish to it. But the second sip wasn't exciting as the first sip. So that has me concerned a little bit. Here we go. I gotta tell you, the best part about this thing is the finish. The finish on this goes on for days. Oh man, it really does. It's a long, lingering, almost like cream soda finish on this. A little bit of cinnamon as well. Again, the orange is there. More citrus, yeah, more citrus on the back end. Man, the highlight of this bourbon is probably the finish for me. The finish, it goes on for, man, a ridiculous amount of time. All right, front of the palate, you get all that nice little oak spice. You get the cherry, the grape. I think it's more cherry now. A little bit of orange. As soon as it hits mid-palate, butterscotch. Maybe a little toffee, however you want to discern that one. It's got a beautiful balance to it. It's not overly alcohol forward. Remember, it's only 101 proof, so it's not going to overpower you. But it's not overly sweet like a lot of other toasted bourbons that we see. You know, the Michter's toasted this year I loved, if you saw my review, but it was so on the sweet side for me that I had kind of a hard time, like, just always going back to that bottle and wanting to drink it because of its sweetness. It lost a little bit of the, you know, some of the bolder bourbon flavors because it was just so, like, you know, sugar heavy. This, on the other hand, gives you a lot more of a balance to it. This is giving you, again, as I mentioned earlier, it's not losing the wild turkey backbone of flavors here. The toasted oak portion of it is just kind of complementing a little bit. But is it a $175 bourbon though? Yeah. I mean, it's very good. The more you sip it, I think the little bit more tame it gets. Again, the shining star of this bottle is that finish. The finish goes on for days. It's delicious. Love the finish. Let's, I'm going to compare it to this glass that I poured. I don't know, I must have poured this when I got this bottle over the weekend. Let's see if it's changed at all. Can compare it. Yeah, more of the oak has come out. Again, this glass has been sitting out for like 2 days. Way more of the oak has come out. Man, more of like that burnt butterscotch is coming out too. It's nice on the nose. All right, let's try it. It's about the same. I think it got a little bit more buttery, which is something that could happen as this bottle opens up. Again, it's still staying turkey-ish. One more sip. Yeah, with more airtime, it's getting more and more buttery and butterscotchy. That's good. Now, the only issue I think I'm having with this bourbon is while it's unique and it's turkey, I don't know. Is it a $175 bourbon? Let's go to the final breakdown. All right, guys, final breakdown time on the Wild Turkey Master's Keep 1. Price, $175. Secondary, I've already seen these. The Master's Keeps are going higher each year. Master's Keeps used to be something that you could just... I remember walking into liquor stores and just finding them sitting on the shelves. The Decades, the 17 year, the Revival were just hanging around. Now they're nowhere to be found anymore. And not only are they being bought up, but they're also being flipped on secondary. This one I've seen for about $400 to $450. Availability, let's all say it together. Ready? Limited. The value for this one. So value for this one, man, for a Master's Keep, bourbon's 9 to 14. I'm not going to say it's even. I think it's a little bit lower than even, honestly. I think for the age and the price you're paying, it's a toasted bourbon. I think you're paying a little bit more for the toast than anything. So I'm going to say it's a little bit low. What's the most I would pay? Retail. If I were you, I wouldn't pay any more than $175 for this. It's good, but I honestly think it all comes down to how familiar you are with Wild Turkey overall. All right, is this a recommend? All right, this might take a second. Russell's 13, if you remember, absolutely love that bourbon. One of my top 5 bourbons easily that I've tried this year. But what I will say is you guys know I love Wild Turkey. And I tried a lot of different Wild Turkey single barrels before I tried that 13. And I felt like there were single barrels that I've had before that could maybe not measure up completely to the 13, but could get pretty damn close. I think people saw the 13-year age statement and they went wild. And, you know, we saw prices on secondary. I think they're still going at $400 to $450, which is crazy. I see an upcharge at stores in that $400 range. You know, and it is what it is. That's the market today. But if you haven't tried a lot of those store picks like I have, the Russell Reserve single barrels, and you know how freaking good they are, especially if you have someone really good picking it, you know, a lot of those could get really, really close. Now, the Wild Turkey one's a different animal. Now, while I could say, you know, do I recommend this? I think for $175, I think if you can, you should try it before you buy it. Just because it does keep the Wild Turkey backbone. The flavors are there. It's actually good. I can't complain about the butterscotch and the long finish, but I just feel like, I don't know, the more you sip this, it just misses a little bit something on the palate overall for me. It's got all the great turkey flavors you want. I don't know if I was looking for something a little bit more unique. It's a little bit something more bold. It is bold, but I don't know. I can't put my finger on it, but there's something in this bottle that's just missing. And not sure what it is. So overall, I think I have to say try before you buy. I think it really depends on your palate. Toasted bourbons can be weird for anyone. It can be different. Depends on really what you get. If you like them, if you don't like them. But if they're asking you to pay $175 for a toasted product, I've had more toasted products that disappointed me than anything. This one isn't disappointing me, but I feel like there's something missing. So for me overall, try before you buy for this Wild Turkey Master's Keep. It's good. I'm very surprised at what I got in the glass. It did not feel like I really thought I was going to get the marshmallow and the gingerbread that was going to overpower everything, and it didn't. It definitely keeps the Wild Turkey backbone. But I don't know. I just feel like I've even had more Russell's Reserve picks that have been a little bit more interesting than this is. Even though this is very good, it's not complex enough, I think, for me to warrant that type of price point. All right, guys, well, I hope you enjoyed this review for the brand new Wild Turkey Master's Keep 1, the 6th edition in the Master's Keep series, the latest. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the subscribe button below. Please hit the like button. If you haven't yet, follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter. Well, thanks for watching, guys, and as I always say, it's not about the whiskey, it's the people you share it with. So cheers, and I'll see you next time right here on the Mash and Drum. Take care, everybody.